Hey everybody, how are you? We are live and I'm coming to you with my friend Kole Hansen, who's actually traveling the world right now, but she's in Austin, Texas. Hey Kole, how are you?
I'm awesome because I'm not in the cold. That's every day already starts off on a much better foot because my feet aren't freezing.
Yeah, it's funny because, we know each other from New York and it's, as much as today's like 50 something degrees out, it still feels damn cold to me and I'm kind of over it. But tomorrow's supposed to be hit like 70. So
Oh, that's beautiful then. If I'm over 70, I'm okay. But
yeah, yeah. So thank you so much for joining me today. I was really excited to talk to you because I haven't had anybody on these Facebook Lives or any of my own summits to discuss this work that you do. And, I know a little bit about what you do and I know it's amazing, but can you tell everybody, what it is that you work on and a little more about your new womb healing summit and what it's all about?
sure. So what I do is I guess the main focus of my work is helping people to understand the unique language their body is speaking. Body aches, pains, disease, conditions, whatever. I work from body to access everything else. So for anyone that works in any shamanic practices or new age, esoteric, however you want to classify it, if it was a wheel of mind, heart, body, spirit, soul, that kind of a situation, I'm coming from body into the wheel. I can get to spirit. No worries. I can get from body into spirit or into heart or into whatever, accessing the body intelligence to do it versus say in a yoga practice, you're involving the body, but it's still more of a spiritual connect, right?
Mm.
When you're doing plant medicines, depending on the plant medicine, you're going from spirit and you can then access heart or whatever. So my access point is body. What
Mm.
I've realized through my own process of healing is how much anger, sadness, guilt, just emotions in general women are holding in the womb area of their body. And if you look at it from a scientific standpoint, how tight that can make the pelvic floor, which can cause constipation, pelvic pain. And doing the Women's Womb Healing Summit was bringing together all of the different experts from shamanic practices to physiotherapists to doctors, different practitioners, and how all of that correlates to the pain women are having in their pelvic area. 82, I think she told me the newest study was 82% of women have severe pain that's reportable to doctors. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's the majority, right? So the work that I do is deep tissue myofascial release, helping release the psoas, which is the deep soul muscles that run down your whole body in the front, releasing the diaphragm. That's my wheelhouse. And I'm also bringing together these experts to talk about diet, hormones, stress, just nutrition in many capacities, and how that impacts the body. And then there's also the emotional components and our conditioning and the constructs that make us believe that our period's a curse, that pain is normal. There is no pain that's normal during your cycle at all. We've been told that PMS, like we all have PMS, if there's pain or headaches or extreme fatigue, that's not normal.
Mm-hmm.
We've just been conditioned seeing that it's common and accepted it as normal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm kind of working to dismantle, is a lot of these constructs and conditioning that's been placed on us.
I love it. I mean, I'm like laughing throughout this because I can relate to so much of this. I just found out yesterday because I recently posted about this crazy MRI I had, but I found out it's tendonitis. It's not a stress fracture, thank God. But, someone who knows a lot about what you are talking about said to me, what were you thinking about when the pain started occurring, which was during a run a few weeks ago? And I was like, oh, wow, yeah, it's like so much is tied in that we don't know about or that we, like our Western medicine kind of overlooks. And I've gone through a ton of this too. Every injury I've had is kind of related to that same area in my hips and, a misalignment and a tightness. And so I've actually the last few years of, my physical journey is, and my mission is just loosen up my hips, like,
Sure.
and also, and also to be balanced, and also be an all full healing, not just going to physical therapy or getting acupuncture, but really looking at like, what was I doing to my body to run it into the ground to get that injured where it like debilitated me for over a year. But
Yes.
so, and I love that you're talking about this because, you know, I'm just starting to learn a lot about this. I know a lot of women, you know, in this space are discussing this, but it's so, you know, it's still like new, even though it's really not, you know, it's new to the Western mind. It's new to what you just said. Like we were taught to believe that it's very normal to be in pain. And, you know, I started noticing this, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 or 8 years ago where, the better I ate during the month, like no sugar. And, you know, I generally eat like 98% well. But I noticed the months where I had more sugar, more alcohol, but like definitely more sugar, I would be in more pain during my period. And so like now I never ever, like for years, I haven't had any pain at all. And I know it's diet, like, you know, or at least for me, that's what it seems like. So I love that you're getting this message out there because it's really important to, you know, have people wake up and take another look, especially, I don't know, I mean, you know this about me, but I'm surrounded by a lot of runners. Like I run, I work out. It's a huge part of my life. And I've seen every single kind of injury run the gamut, like with everybody I know, just so much pain and suffering. And it's like, hey guys, like it's maybe more than just you're running. You know, it's like other things going on in your life. Now, because I know you're also, you know, like you and your husband are on the fitness path, and I know you do personal training. So what is your journey? Like, I know a little bit about what's happened to you, but how did you create this as a business and this journey onto getting this out there?
Well, honestly, it like setting out into anything, we end up teaching what we're searching for, because there's almost like I'm just the channel. I'm seeking out answers for myself. And as things tick off in my head, I'm like, people need to know this. Like I've been searching for this for 5 years and now I found it, or I found the person or the practitioner or the modality or whatever. Everyone needs to know this. I spent 27 of my 35 years in significant pain. Endometriosis, hypothyroidism, ovarian torsions. I had 26 broken bones. So the imbalances of that, I was in a coma. Did I say fibromyalgia? Just this, like, I didn't even know pain-free was possible, and it was never even a possibility for me. So my journey now is that process of unraveling those things and understanding, one, my implants were hugely inflammatory for my system. Getting my implants removed really turned my health around. It was like the final corner for me, turning my health. And it's something I'd never considered, but after changing my diet, changing my surroundings, my environment, leaving a toxic marriage, it was that full 360 approach. I was in less and less pain as time went on. And I'll never forget the day I woke up and I didn't have pain. And I ran into my husband and I said, Ta, I don't have pain. Because that's been my mantra for the last year. I am pain-free. And actively, I developed something called the BIT system, which is a biointegration technique where it's stretching and body scans, self-myofascial release, and really grounding in my body every morning so that I could make actionable steps to get pain-free through the day. What does my body need today to align with that mantra, with that desire? And that moment for me was the Womb Healing Summit, when it kind of emerged, when I was like, wait, you can be pain-free. I've been saying it as an affirmation and all that woo-woo, like, you know, stuff. And making effort and, you know, all of that as well. But then seeing it happen, I was like, I have to bring every modality that's helped me, every practitioner that's helped me into one location. Because if I can at least put a bunch of tools on the table, each woman can look and identify and say, you know what? That's what I need right now. You know, just like building a house doesn't mean you don't need all the tools, but it's like, what do you need right now to get pain-free so that you can go out and fulfill your purpose? So with the summit, for example, I've done retreats and things as well, but with the summit, I structured it so that everybody benefits in some energetic capacity, whether it was money for any, you know, for certain women or the speakers, if they shared it to their network. If someone decides to purchase the summit, then I split with the affiliate. But it's free for anyone to attend, because this is information that I didn't want women to miss out on either. Wow. So it was like, I just believe when you create an infrastructure that benefits everyone in some way, regardless of whether they take it or not, then the monetary needs or my life will be fortified on every level as well.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I mean, I do these summits, you know, around twice a year, and it is all about getting these deeper messages out. It's like I only have so much information, and we all learn from each other, and really getting, spreading the word and helping people wake up to this. Because, I mean, again, I'm like, oh my God, she's speaking to me. Like, I've been this endurance runner, for most of my adult life. And just being surrounded by this community of, like I actually hit this point where I was like, I've been injury free for so many years, and I was running ultra marathons and I was totally fine, and I was like, wait a second, running isn't about being in pain all the time. Like there is a way to actually run and be pain free. It was when I quit taking care of the rest of my life, like sleeping less and driving myself into the ground and overdoing it and not balancing it out. That's when I got injured again. And it's, and then I actually, because of all the other practice I do, I started seeing the emotion, like, it actually, the final message was like, oh, I'm just creating suffering for myself, and I saw this pattern of like, and it's funny because a lot of really type A runners that I'm friends with kind of do this too. It's like, how do we just hide and run from other things and drive ourselves into the ground in other ways? It's like a different form of abuse in a strange way.
Well, I mean, I saw that a lot with both my personal training clients. Is that echoing for you or just for me?
Oh, I know. Sometimes it gets janky. It sounds fine.
Okay. So what I noticed in teaching fitness classes, like I did insanity and high intensity, and I could tell by how someone worked out, what their internal environment was like for themselves. Were they hard on themselves? And that could actually help me to, even just spending 5 minutes after, to have them, not for me to discover anything, but for me to have them consider some questions within themselves they may not have considered. And like you said, it is another form of abuse. Being addicted to food or whatever is no different than doing that with fitness or lifting or whatever. The difference is just a different style of suffering. But the pain within the body, the experience of pain is very similar. High inflammation is as painful as, disc herniations and whatever, the way that it reverberates through the body as an organism. So it's you have to do both, because you can go get body work all day long. If you're not addressing the psychological or subconscious thought patterns that are manifesting, you're treating a symptom. Mm-hmm. Now, you need body work to sometimes the damage that's been done to kind of bring it back. And there's work that has to be done in realignment for sure, but you can't do one without the other. You can't just do mind and think that the body will totally resolve if you have a serious imbalance or a muscular scoliosis.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I so need to hear this right now. It is interesting. I've never, ever had tendonitis before in my life. And I just got this out of the blue like 2 weeks ago. And thank God I found out it's a mild case, and it feels fine, but it's interesting because I'm like, oh, I'll just do a lot of yoga, and I haven't been doing anything else but yoga. And, and then I'm like, oh, well, I'm really good with my mindset. Like, I am healed. But you're right. I'm like, oh, there's probably other things I need to be doing. And, because I know it's all interrelated, exactly what you said. So this is really good to hear. Now I'm curious, because I have another friend who's, she does a little similar work as you. She's kind of basically helps people get out of pain. She's not as, I guess, you have such a good background in exercise and fitness and physiology, but I'm curious, how do you do this remotely? Like, how do you live this? I know you guys are still traveling the world, right? Aren't you? Like, from what I understand.
Yeah. I mean, we never really stop. Just now we don't have a home base.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like permanent nomads. Yeah. I totally hear you. So, but can you work with people remotely? Like, let's say, I wanted to hire you and I'm in New York and you're in Austin. Like, how do you work with people that way?
It really depends where someone is in their process and their kind of their cognitive understanding of at least body intelligence. I usually will recommend a few books at least if they're not familiar, so that there's language that I use or conceptually. The thing is, if your mind doesn't believe that something is possible or it's not on board, it's probably not going to work, because the way the mind rationalizes everything. So it really depends where someone is in the process. And then it depends on if they work with me or Ta or both. Now, Ta is far more, if someone's on a lot of medications, they have some more serious medical conditions. He's been a registered nurse for 25 years in emergency medicine. So his background certainly is crucial for that. So it's easier for him, and it depends on the complexity of the case, what they're looking to achieve, and body awareness as well, because let's say we're working on imbalances, scoliosis, something like that. Ideally, we like to see someone in person for at least a week, 3 times, so that we can see where to really see their chains, or send them to someone to get an analysis, maybe a Rolfer or something like that, where we can translate that information. Yeah. So we can definitely work virtually, and we do. It depends on the needs and the person on, what depth or whatever we can do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And, I actually spoke to someone earlier today. I was like, well, coaching or any of this transformation works if you put in the work.
Yeah.
It's so fascinating, what you were saying, people, what level they were on. And you could essentially do this because I think of, let's say, my mom, who had this chronic back issue for years and turned into the very Western medicine route of let's just do surgery. And of course, I argued against it. It was like, wait a second, let's explore options first. And the surgery actually made her worse. And
it can.
Yeah, I know so many people have had similar stories about let's just try to solve it with medication or injections, or actually someone else I just spoke to the other day was mentioning steroid injections or whatever, cortisone. And I was like, oh, there's so many other options to look into.
Yeah. The thing that makes it scary is it's still just treating symptoms. And even if you go and fuse a back, there is still an emotional component that will just get redirected somewhere else, because there is still some subconscious presence of the problem somewhere. So maybe it's not in that part of your back, so it's going to shift to your hip. And after any surgery, you then have scar tissue, adhesions that can form. You're bringing in a lot of other things that doctors don't discuss, like scar tissue. Same with women after C-sections. It's like they're getting a C-section, they're not getting the care for the scars afterwards, and then they're told by doctors, there's nothing you can do. We can go in and try to fix the adhesions on the inside. There's work that can be done from the outside in, and you don't have to live with pain, and you shouldn't live with pain. We don't settle with the idea of our businesses. We shouldn't settle with the idea of our bodies. And I can't tell you how many times people go get a disc herniation fixed. That's usually when they end up with us, is when they went and did surgery and then they don't know what to do. And so they're finally open to some of these concepts that we discuss with how there's one guy, a doctor named Bessel van der Kolk, who has a book called The Body Keeps Score. Basically, that's once they come and they believe that the body is a Rolodex of experience and trauma, and we need to go there. The only way to release trauma is to feel it. That doesn't mean we have to get into the story, but we have to acknowledge it. We have to see it. So depending on the client or the person, we might need to be there just so that they don't kind of recede or go off and hide. Because once we touch into certain things, you have to be all in, and we're there to be fully supportive, but it's not easy by any stretch on the ego and facing traumas that could have been from when you were 6 or 8 or whatever you've been hiding from, you don't want to see it. And honestly, to get pain free, you have to.
Wow, this is such incredible work. I could seriously hear about this for hours, because I've just learned about all the somatic work in the last 2-3 years. And it blew my mind. And, coming from someone who's very physically active and pushing the body to these ultimate levels, I always knew there was more to it than just training for a marathon. There's so much mental, there's so much emotional, there's certain, I knew when I had my first hip injury, I was like, wait a second, this is definitely something familial, because my mom carries it too. And it's not just this genetic thing. It's emotions. And I was going through the death of my father at the time, all this deep stuff. Now I have one really important question. I'm curious because I know about the chakra system, and I'm sure some of our listeners do, but I'm curious, when you help, let's say, women heal their womb or get pain-free in their womb area, especially people with endometriosis and C-sections. I'm curious, do you ever find that people start manifesting more money, or their business takes off, or
for sure
call in a partner, their creative project comes to life?
That is what the womb center represents, is creativity. And it's just like I say constantly, pain is a blocker for pleasure. You cannot experience pain and pleasure. Like if your foot's broken and you're trying to go for a jog, you can't get the pleasure of the jog because of the pain of the foot. So that's what's happening in life, is if you're walking through with this experience of pain, it is blocking you from the experience of pleasure. Now, let's say if your body is this magnet for pleasure, because the experiential vehicle of the body it wants pleasure. It loves pleasure. So if the radio signals are clear, if you're feeding it and fueling it with clean foods so that you understand the messages it's sending you to stay aligned to that, it's going to attract more of that because that's what it really wants. Instead of being chemically influenced by preservatives in food or refined sugars or, mentally hurting ourselves. Mm-hmm. Just because you're not cutting yourself on the outside, most women are cutting themselves on the inside on a regular basis. And I don't see a difference between a slow suicide and doing it in one instant. In fact, one's far more painful and it's almost like the suffering is more intense. Mm-hmm. So if you want to get in that pleasure center, once you're in it and you actually enjoy the experience of being in it, it will naturally bring you the people, the experiences that you want to manifest, the partners and the businesses and the partner to be with. I mean, that's exactly how kind of my relationship came into play. Was one, I wasn't looking for it. Mm-hmm. I was looking for a deep connection mm-hmm. with myself and found that matched with someone else. And I believe that in order to truly manifest, you cannot do it without your body. Mm-hmm. Your body is the only part of you that's ever in the now. So if you're going to manifest something, you need to have presence, almost like a beacon of where you are, to attract, so things know where to find you. So you kind of like, this is your, like the inside navigation system, so that the GPS can track you and those manifestations can come.
Oh my God, I could talk about this for hours. I love it. I know, because I had my friend Steph on last week, who's, she's a health coach and she deals mostly with food and diet and eating habits. And actually, to me, her work, the most powerful part of her work is not the actual food, but like the way we approach it and the way we eat it yes. and the way we ingest it, and vibrational and, mindful. But I made jokes because I'm like, God, every time I implement everything you say, I start manifesting like crazy. And I'm like, every time I go on a super clean, sugar-free, I'm mostly sugar-free, but like every time I cut it out completely, I manifest like crazy. And I'm like, damn, man, is this all it takes? Is like,
it's clear radio signals, literally. It's like that your message gets very clear because you've also made yourself a priority on every level, not just your mind, not just your spirit, but on every level you have really become this like beacon, like, all right, I'm ready to receive.
Yeah. Wow. I know. I need to remind myself of this every time I crave some kind of, I don't know, cookie or something, and yeah, I try to go, my new thing is going easy, like balance, some days are crappy and I slip, and some days I'm great and everything's fine. I just have to not beat myself up over it,
Yes, that's the more important part, because when you're stressed, your body can't metabolize the same. And those stress hormones will actually cause your body to have indigestion issues and not be able to like really process. Yeah. So actually, even making the conscious decision, I don't even call them cheats. They're treats, man. So even if I couldn't, it's like, don't should all over yourself. Mm-hmm. Just be like, I'm doing this. It's going to be awesome. And I'm going to make sure to give my body the tools after to process it. Like, I love margaritas. Obviously I can't have margaritas every day, but if I'm going like during filming for the summit, I'm like, oh no, I have margaritas twice a week because I've been filming all day. This is me. And I get present. I don't have my phone. I don't interact. I'm so present and enjoying the margarita because I love frozen margaritas, and it's warm here. Yeah. And I'm just like, I deserve this toxic thing, but I'm like, I deserve to have everything in this life that I desire that is not getting in the way of me fulfilling the purpose or getting in the way of how I want to feel. Now, if I have more than two, I feel it. That's getting in the way. So I've learned that's where the line is. And as long as I honor that within myself, it's never cheating. Yeah. It's that I eat clean enough that my body can process the toxins. Some toxins it can't. Love it. Yeah. Luckily, my body is allowing the margaritas, and I honor it for that.
I love it. No, I talked to someone about this a few months ago about conscious drinking, and very like, Like, and I honor myself when I go through this because, you know, the winter in New York, I always, like, it's literally every year. I've lived here a long time. Every year from like January to March, I'm like, okay, I have to accept that I emotionally eat and I slip because I'm like you, I hate the cold, even though I love it here. But you know, I'm at that point in my life where I'll literally be eating that bad thing and I'll just be like, I know this is bad, but I'm not going to let it be bad. I'm just going to embrace the, like, you know, like kind of what you were saying. It's like, I'm not going to make this like a double. In Buddhism, they call it this double arrow. It's like you already shoot an arrow in your heart and then like another one. And I'm like, no, I'm just going to eat this cookie and be with it and enjoy it and then like not feel bad about it. And then like life goes on. Instead of me, you know, like 5 years ago, was just constantly at war with myself, which, you know, causes more cortisol, more stress.
Yes. Well, and that's why I don't even say I deserve something or not, because that's still like, I'm still on this metric system of then the other times I don't deserve it. I'm just like, no, this is what I'm choosing. And after I'm done with this, I'm going to choose an electrolyte drink and the proper nutrients to flush out my liver and lots of water. And I'll
deal with the margarita. And plus you're in Austin. How could you not have the margaritas? No, I love it. Now,
I have to.
Everybody, where to sign up for your summit and when does it take place? And it's free. And I also know there is a sale price where you get to keep it for good, right?
Yes.
Is that how it works?
Totally. So it's next weekend, the 20th, 21st, 22nd. Starts at like 11:30 in the morning next Friday, I think Central Time. You go to healingyourwomb.com. There's an option to go to the summit and claim your free ticket. Mm-hmm. So each day you have, I'm letting all of the sessions for each day go live at the morning start time. So you have till midnight that night to access any class you might have wanted to see. And then at midnight it closes down. So each day you have till midnight to view any of those classes. Now it's 25 hours of content. So it's serious. And it's everything from medical practitioners, authors to wellness experts like Nikki Sharp. Like we've got some really knowledgeable, experienced people. So if you want to buy it, you get the audio downloads, you get bonus material from the speakers, ebooks, you know, kind of like their tips and tricks or meditations. So, and it's $149 to purchase the whole summit. And then it's yours forever with MP3 audio downloads if you're more of a listen on the go kind of person, plus the videos, plus the bonus material, plus discount codes from FemiCycle and FemCap, also from a fertility monitor called Daisy.
Wow.
Forget it. It's in my bed. It's hiding in my bed. But it's literally a digital fertility tracker so that if you want to get off hormones, you can. I've been off for 5 years. It's a process. You'll learn all about it in the summit as well if you want to explore that. So
I love this. I can't wait. I signed up. So there's certain people who I already know I want to watch. And it's just so funny because my friend Mia, who I think you might know too, is kind of deals a lot with the womb healing, but on like a deeply spiritual level only, really, like more, you know, more spiritual, less. But I'm like, wow, this is so fascinating. There's so much to learn. And so many women, like, I've been very blessed. Thank God I'm, you know, generally really healthy. But so many women I know have been suffering in pain and surgeries and unnecessary surgeries and, you know, just things prodded up them constantly. And it's like, oh, wait, no, like there's so much good information coming out. And I'm so glad you're doing this because it's time that everybody learns this and like sees the truth. And at least, you know, the younger women of today can start learning about this and taking care of themselves, you know, at a different level at an early age. So,
well, and the truth is, if we want to make a difference in this world, we have to get women out of pain first. Otherwise, we're going to mind over matter. And all you do is prove is how little you matter to you when you just keep pushing. And if you push your body to that limit, then your purpose is going to die with you because you won't be able to sustain the energy, the time, if this vessel is kind of like the motor, you have to fortify the motor. So the goal is get us in touch with our bodies. Because once you get in touch with this intelligence, like you think you're unstoppable with your mind, get this intelligence and it's like,
you're so right.
It's a magnifier.
No, you're right.
Multiplier.
It's amazing how many people I talk to that are like, oh, I'm sick and I can't start a business. Or, I mean, I remember this is actually, I had a 6-month sickness before I started my, you know, like 2 businesses ago. And I really was debilitated. Like I at one point I was like, I just want to die. Like that's how I felt. And I was like, useless human. I couldn't function. I couldn't even talk to people on the phone. And for 6 months was like out. So yeah, I'm really glad you're doing this work and so glad you're getting this message out. And are you going to be in New York anytime soon?
I am. I'm doing a body intensive in New Jersey in June.
Oh, wow.
I'll have more information, or if someone wants to hit me up about it. And there's other information that I can share in private.
Yeah.
And then I'm also doing the Goddess, No Goddess Left Behind retreat. I'm going to be doing a workshop there.
Yes.
All women should be there. It's awesome if you haven't been. I'm going to be doing another retreat in August with Marin, who's also in the workshop, who is in the Women's Womb Healing Summit. And then I'll be in Australia in February and trip to Peru in March. So there's lots of ways to come do work and plant medicine work in Peru.
I'm so excited because I have a client who I love so much and she's in Australia. So maybe I will send her to you there. That'd be great.
Yeah, I'll be in Sydney and the Gold Coast. So lots of access points.
Great. Thank you so much for doing this. And I'll make sure everybody sees your link and we'll share this around. And best of luck to you and your summit. I can't wait. And enjoy your travels. And if I don't see you first, I will see you at Goddess Weekend.
Yes, deal.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Ciao.